Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are here for another one of your dilemmas about work. And today, I think folks know, if you've seen this before, I'm Roy. I'm a startup investor in the future of work. And I love when I get to do these questions and they're answered by other members of our team. So we have Tom, who's a fellow, which means she's spending a few months with us for the summer before going off to study law and the intersection with technology at Harvard. And Tom has an unusual background for what she's doing, like being in VC for the summer because she has a PhD. So I'm not calling you Dr. Tom. But the question, which is really one that is for people who have worked hard and been fortunate to have the privilege to get to make this kind of choice, and they're thinking about, I'm finishing college. Do I go get a job right away? Do I go to grad school? You got a PhD in physics. And so thank you for joining. Would love to hear your perspective on how you think about this question.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And it's a question that I have thought about a lot over the past N+ years. And I mean, it comes down to it's different for different people. For me, what it came down to was, do I really care about what I'm studying? Do I really want to focus on this and just spend time reflecting on it, figuring out what the most important research questions are, what the forefront of the field is? Like, do I just want to have some time to just think about this? And for me, the answer to that was yes, especially, when I was choosing to go to grad school. There's definitely a pull when you're in a field that doesn't necessarily lead into a job. Like for me, it was physics. That is definitely the type of thing where, you don't get very many ads for professional physicist wanted. So there's a pull to go to grad school. That's probably not the reason to go to grad school.
Yeah, although, I mean, well, first of all, job as a professor studying physics is for sure like the core job that in some ways that research contemplates. But, there's oftentimes, I feel like for people, there's this risk question of, man, am I signing up for, I don't know how long your PhD took, but some people it's like 5 years, 7 years, maybe shorter if you're really good or something like that. And how you think about whether it's worth doing that based on things when you're a senior in college, which is like, no offense to all the seniors in college out there, but you don't fucking know anything. And so I'm just curious how you think about whether you were signing up for the duration, and also what other like problems of tradecraft you had to solve to figure out how to pay for it. Like, what else did you have to solve to figure it out?
Yeah, so first of all, like, be very skeptical of graduate school that you have to pay for. In technical STEM fields, usually you do not have to pay for grad school. They will give you money. Definitely be very skeptical if anyone wants to charge you to get a PhD.
U.S. government funding scientific research in action.
Exactly. But I guess the really important point there is that grad school, the average for my program was 6 years. That is a long time. But you get a master's on the way. And if you see, when I was a senior, I loved research and I was so interested in pursuing that for a ton of years, and that didn't scare me at all. But, I got my master's and I was like, actually, do I really like this? Is this something that I want to keep doing? That's a really great time to reevaluate that. And you can always leave. And that's valid.
Program dropout who only got his master's in economics. You can, for real, you'll have to do another year to get what they call a DPhil. It's like, I just can't bear the thought of being in the library for another year. I
gotta go do something.
Yeah. Anything else you had to solve on the way there? So money was one thing you had to solve. Anything else that was important to figure out?
Money is really important to figure out. I think beyond that, though, just juggling sort of the focus of graduate school, where it's, you do have a drive to, I want to publish, I need to learn, I need to please my advisor, with actually exploring what you want to do. I think, most people go to grad school in their early 20s, and that's a time where you're trying to figure out a lot of things. And it's important to take the time to do that, which I think can be a bit challenging, like with all the flexibility of grad school, can be challenging to set the time for yourself to do.
Totally.
So it's really important to make that for yourself, like spend
Yeah.
summers, maybe interning, you know?
One thing, for example, one thing that I've noticed is a lot of the jobs that tend to hire, forget about starting something, but a lot of the jobs that tend to hire at scale right out of college, they kind of offer a quasi-school experience, frequent trainings and, a community of people. They even call your community a class. And actually, and never having done a PhD in the US, I wouldn't know, but actually in some ways, grad school feels less like that. It's sort of more like, now you're just a budding researcher, figure it out kind of a thing. And so people preparing for that degree of independence seems important. And I'll just throw in my general thought on all individual job choices, like should I do X or should I do Y? It's inevitable that we agonize over them because it's like you've spent all this time studying all this stuff in school. And the reality is many paths up the mountain. Lots of people end up in VC, start out in a PhD program. My college roommate was a banker on Wall Street for forever. He's now a math professor, and so many ways up the mountain, if you've got the interest and the desire to work hard. So I tend to kind of think luck is going to be more important to your experience of like, what is your chemistry like with your advisor in this case, than all of the head scratching, chin stroking contemplation in the world.
Yeah. I think that's very correct. And I think that's actually kind of the nice thing about going to grad school is that it does generally open a lot of opportunities and different doors for you. Even if you don't finish, like even just getting to know certain people and being in an environment where, your research is not the only research that your university cares about. There's a lot going on and you can go to seminars and you can just be exposed to a lot of different things. And even just that's kind of an amazing experience to be able to have.
Faculty in the most peripheral of ways at Berkeley, I see a sense of this, of like all this you could plug into. And then let's not forget, in a way, the most core thing, which is what you actually learn. I mean, so much of just take startup world for a second is just applying the scientific method to organizational life. And so deeply internalizing that, knowing what it's like to be an expert. What does it feel like when you understand something better than anybody else on earth, is a thing. Yeah. Well, so that's not advice for today for everybody watching for the first time. Not advice because literally neither Tom or I are saying this is what you should do. Just sharing life experiences. And thank you, and to be continued.